which of the following are true regarding the observations made by Lamarck? Now, as we observe the Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, in order to explain the evolution, we should not forget him, because he was the first person explained the evolution in the form of a theory. Now, according to the Lamarckism, as environment changes, we have to observe changes in the living organisms. As environment changes, automatically the needs also change. In order to meet such needs, the organisms develop new characters or new organs. If one organ is continuously used, that is said to be use. If one organ is not used, it is said to be disuse. So, environment is not constant. Every day or every minute or every second, environment changes. As environment changes, it creates new need. In order to meet the new need, the organisms develop new characters or new organs. If they are used, said to be used. If they are not used, said to be disused. Now, the characters developed by one organism called acquired characters. The acquired characters are inherited by their progeny. Now you observe. Which of the following are the true regarding the observations made by Lamarck? One is, there is a fundamental unity underlying the diversity of species. In the beginning of evolution, there is no diversity. There is no algae, fungi, bryophyta, pteridophyta, flowering plants, non-flowering plants, etc., etc. Diversity absent in the beginning of evolution. In the same way, there is no sponges, Cnidaria, platy, nematoda, annelida, arthropoda, etc., etc. Different animal species were absent. In the beginning, what is present? Only unity. From this unity, what is derived? The diversity. So, what is the unit of diversity? Unity. Now, the first statement, there is fundamental unity underlying the diversity of species. That is correct. Second one, species remains unchanged under changing external influences. No. If environment changes, definitely there are going to observe the changes in the species. But here what they gave, species remains unchanged. No, species undergo changes once the environment changes. Now, third one, the species develop suddenly. No, anywhere at any time. The species do not develop suddenly. They develop gradually. So, based on this information, what is the answer? Now, the answer is, out of 3 statements, only first statement is correct. Now, we go for the next one. Arrange the following sequence as explained by Lamarck. Already we discussed this one. As environment changes, it creates new needs. In order to meet such needs, organism develops new characters. If they are continuously used, it is said to be use principle. If it is not used, it is said to be disuse principle. The organism acquired such characters are inherited by their progeny. After a number of generations, because of the accumulation of these acquired characters, a new species is going to evolve. Now, based on this, here you have to observe use, disuse of organs, inheritance to next generation, changes in the environment of organism, chances in the characters, also called acquired characters, changed needs. Now arrange the statements in a sequence. Changes in the environment followed by changed needs, followed by use and disuse, and acquired characters inherited by the next generation. Now based on this information, the answer is. Now we go for the next question. According to Neo-Lamarckians, somatic variations can be inherited by their offsprings. According to the Lamarckism, all acquired characters inherited by their progeny. All acquired characters, if changes occur in the somatic cells as well as changes occur in the germ cells, will be inherited by their offsprings in the next generation. So according to the Lamarckism, all acquired characters inherited by their progeny. Now in the later years, such point was disproved by August Weismann by an experiment called decartelization experiment. Now here we are discussing the Neo-Lamarckism. What are the Neo-Lamarckists? They are supporters of Lamarck. According to the Neo-Lamarckism or Neo-Lamarckist, because of the environment influence, the somatic cells in our body, all cells are somatic cells except sperm and ovum. Because of the environment influence, somatic cells are stimulated. Now the somatic cells release secretions. These secretions enter into the blood plasma. Now along with the blood plasma, they enter into germ cells. From one generation to another generation, what are passing? Germ cells. Now here, according to Neo-Lamarckist, according to their opinion, because of the influence of environment, the somatic cells are stimulated. Once they are stimulated, they release secretions. The secretions enter into blood plasma. Along with the blood plasma, the somatic variations enter into the germ cells. From the germ cells, they pass from one generation to another generation. Why don't like this the somatic variations inherited to the next generation? Like that, they supported the Lamarck or Lamarckism. Here, according to the Neo-Lamarckians, somatic variations can be inherited by offspring. Reason: variations caused in somatic cells are carried to sex cells through the secretions according to Neo-Lamarckians. So both are correct or explained CA. Now the answer is. Now we go for the next question. Choose the correct statements. Useful variations make the organism fit in the struggle for existence. Now, as we observe the Darwinism, in order to explain the evolution, he proposed natural selection theory. According to the natural selection theory, every day in the universe, the living organisms going to face struggle for existence. In the struggle for existence, what type of organisms can get success? Those organisms having beneficial variations. So here the first one, beneficial variations make the organism fit in the struggle for existence. No doubt, the variations are two types, beneficial or harmful. What type of variations help in the struggle for existence? Beneficial. So the first one is correct. Second, according to the Darwin, during struggle for existence, the organism with beneficial variations can alone survive. Yes, those are going to get success in the struggle for existence. In those organisms, what type of variations are present? Beneficial variations. With the help of beneficial variations, every day the living organism is going to get success in the struggle for existence, no doubt at all. And the third one, organisms which are selected by the nature are said to be the fittest. It means in the struggle for existence, what type of organisms are going to get success? Those are having the beneficial variations. Now, such organisms are selected by the nature. Once the organisms are selected by the nature, they have been continued for a long period. Now, always the organisms or the species in the universe must be selected by the nature. What type of organisms or species selected by the nature? Those are having the beneficial variations are selected by the nature. Now, based on this information, what is the answer for this question? All statements given are correct. Now, we go for the next question. Choose the correct statement. First, we have to discuss the statement. The first statement you have to observe. Differential reproductive success exists among organisms. Now, majority of the students having a doubt regarding this statement. Differential reproductive success exists among organisms. How it is? Now, this is a tall plant, we know very well, and this is a dwarf plant. Now, these are the parents. This character controlled by homozygous dominant genotype. This is controlled by homozygous recessive. Now, from this we are taking one gamete. From this we are taking one gamete. Now, these two are self-pollinated. We are getting F1 plant. Now, you have to observe what I am explaining. Now, this is the F1 plant. Here, capital T, small t factors. Capital T, this is the dominant. So, its character is expressed, we know very well, tall. Now, the two F1 plants are self-pollinated. The two F1 plants are self-pollinated. Now, we are getting F2 generation. In the F2 generation, capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, small t, small t. Three genotypes are present. Now, you have to observe, this is capital T, capital T. Whenever capital T crossed with capital T, always we are getting the homozygous tall. Okay. Now, small t is crossed with small t. Always it gives rise to the homozygous recessive, that we call it as dwarf. Now, capital T small t is crossed with another capital T small t. Okay. Now, this gives rise to capital T, capital T small t, small t, small t. That means this capital T small t gives rise to homozygous tall, homozygous dwarf, and heterozygous tall. Here, how many genotypes are present? You have to observe capital T, and capital T small t, small t, small t. Now, among these genotypes, there is a differential reproductive success. Here, capital T always gives only one character. Small t always gives one character. But this one has to give three kinds: homozygous tall, heterozygous tall, and homozygous dwarf. Now, the first statement, differential reproductive success exists among the organisms. Now, the second, the concept of differential success of various forms is more accurate. Now, as we observe these three genotypes, in these three genotypes, which is more accurate? Capital T small t, because it is going to give capital T, capital T small t, small t, small t. So, when compared to that of these three genotypes reproductively, which is having more accuracy? Capital T small t. Now, the second one, the concept of differential success of various forms is more accurate. Now the third one, the organisms that fail to reproduce cannot be represented in the future generations, however they fit in the struggle for existence. In the struggle for existence, for example, here A one organism and B another organism. Now these two organisms having beneficial variations. Okay, now these two organisms got success in the struggle for existence. In these two organisms, only this organism is able to produce or is able to undergo reproduction. This is unable to perform reproduction. So though the organism get success in the struggle for existence, if such organism unable to perform reproduction, the nature does not allow such type of organism. It means in a nature or in the universe, what is the main criteria to live for a long period? Once the organism is able to perform the reproduction, such organism having the more chances to continue in the universe or to continue in the nature. Otherwise, if it is unable to perform the reproduction, no doubt the organism is eliminated by the nature. So what is the main criteria to continue for a long period in the universe or in the nature? Reproduction. Because of the reproduction, one organism increases its number. If the organism unable to perform the reproduction, in the future we are going to lose that organism. Once we are going to lose one organism, we should not get it back. So every organism better to undergo reproduction and increases its number. Now here, based on this information, what is the correct answer? All statements are correct. You observe the question once again. Now the next question. Natural selection failed to explain occurrence of vestigial organs. Now, as we observe the theory of natural selection or Darwin's theory, at the time of Darwin, genetics was not well developed. So the Darwin unable to explain some points having the genetic basis. One among them is the natural selection theory didn't explain the importance of vestigial organs. Now as we observe our body, in our body 180 vestigial organs are present. The muscles in the external ear are vestigial. In case of male human being, the mammary glands are vestigial. The presence of hairs on the chest are vestigial. And next, the last wisdom tooth, that is vestigial. And at the corner of eye, a small fleshy lobe is present, that is called third eyelid or nictitating membrane, that is vestigial. In the same way, attached to the alimentary canal, we know very well, in the alimentary canal one part is cecum. At the tip of cecum, vermiform appendix is present, that is a vestigial organ. Like that, in the body of a human being, 180 vestigial organs are present. So human being is said to be the museum of vestigial organs. Now, according to the natural selection theory, these vestigial organs not having any mean value, that means they are not having any importance, so that the natural selection theory did not explain the vestigial organs, because the vestigial organs not having any mean value in the evolution. Now the answer is both are correct or explains A. Now the next question. Natural selection theory cannot explain the secondary sexual characters. Now what is the reason? Secondary sexual characters are not useful in the struggle for existence. It means, as we observe the male animal, in the male animal, what are the secondary sexual characters? The presence of beard and having a roaring voice like that of a lion, and broadening of shoulders, and all these are the examples for the secondary sexual characters. In case of the female animal, what are the secondary sexual characters? The presence of mammary glands and the presence of feminine body, all these are the secondary sexual characters. For what purpose the secondary sexual characters possessed by the living organisms? In the nature or in the universe, for every 1000 male animals, 900 female animals are present. That means when compared to that of the male animals, female animals number is less. In order to attract the female animals, the male animals having a beautiful secondary sexual characters. Those male animals having the attractive secondary sexual characters, they are selected by the female animal for the mating. But these secondary sexual characters anywhere at any time do not help to get success in the struggle for existence. Now, based on this information, what is the answer for this question? Both are correct or explains A. Now the next question. As per mutation theory, evolution is random, which occurs in any direction. And now, as we observe the evolution, it is a continuous process. It is a continuous changes. It is a non-stop process. Evolution was present in the past. Evolution present in the present. Evolution will present in the future. All are unable to see the evolution, but evolution is going on. It is a continuous change. It is a non-stop process. For the evolution, what is the raw material? The variations. What are the variations? Changes. The changes are brought by the mutations. What are the mutations? They are sudden large variations. Mutations, they are sudden. Any place, any time, anywhere, the mutations occur. Because of the mutations, we are going to observe variations. The variations are the raw materials of the evolution. So, as mutations occur any place, any time, any organism, automatically the evolution is said to be random. Any place, at any time, we have to observe the evolution. Now, assertion. As per the mutation theory, evolution is random. That means evolution occurs at any place, at any time, in any organism. And now, the reason is mutations are random. What are the mutations? They are the large variations. Because of the mutations, we are getting the variations. The variations are the raw materials for the evolution. As mutations are random, automatically the evolution is random. Now the answer is the next question. As per mutation theory, there are no intermediate stages in the course of evolution. Now, as we observe the mutation theory, the father of mutation theory is called Hugo de Vries. Now, he conducted experiments on Inothera lamarckiana, that is evening prime rose plant. Now, it is a wild variety. No changes in the Inothera lamarckiana. From the Inothera lamarckiana, suddenly 4 mutants obtained. 1, 2, 3, 4. One is Inothera gigas, Inothera levifolis, Inothera nanella. Like that, from this Inothera lamarckiana, Inothera gigas, Inothera brevis stylis, I am using the short words. Inothera zygas, Inothera levifolis, Inothera nanella, Inothera brevistylis. Here the style is short. Nanella, it is short. Levifolis, the leaves are smooth. Zygas, it is tall. Now this is the parent. From the Inothera lamarckiana, these 4 mutants suddenly derived. No intermediate stages, because the mutations are full-fledged. According to the mutation theory, in a race, a permanent change is brought by what type of variations? The large sudden variations. What are the large sudden variations? Nothing but the mutations. Now here, as per mutation theory, there are no intermediate stages. You observe this example between Inothera lamarckiana, zygas, levifolis, nanella, brevistylis. You observe intermediate stages? No intermediate stages, because these are the full-fledged. Mutations are full-fledged. So according to the Hugo de Vries, in a race, a permanent change is brought by what type of variations? Large sudden variations known as mutations. Now reason is mutations are full-fledged. Now the answer is both are correct or he explains A. Now the next question. In a Hardy-Weinberg population, Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, now the P plus Q whole square is equal to 1. Now this is P square 2PQ Q square is equal to 1. That is a binomial expression given by Hardy-Weinberg in order to explain the process of evolution. According to the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, if we are doing the problem, if we are getting the answer 1, there is no evolution. But evolution is a continuous process. While we are doing the problem, if we are getting the answer greater than 1, less than 1, it is said to be the evolution is going on. And now P square homozygous dominant, 2PQ heterozygous dominant, and Q square homozygous recessive. Now here, in a Hardy-Weinberg population, if 36% individuals exhibit a recessive character, find out percentage of heterozygotes. Okay. Now again you observe the problem. Here a recessive character, that means Q square is equal to 36%. Okay. It means here the population size is said to be 100 because 36%. Now Q square is equal to 36 by 100. Now we are getting 0.36. We go for the square root. Q is 0.6. Now we are getting the Q. This is apply in this formula. P plus Q is equal to 1. We don't know P. P plus 0.6 is equal to 1. Now it is moved to this side, becomes the minus. P is equal to 1 minus 0.6. We are getting 0.4. Okay. Now as we observe this problem, we are getting P is 0.4. Q is 0.6. What about the heterozygous? 2PQ. That means 2 into 0.6 into 0.4. 6 into 4 into 2. We are getting 0.48. Okay. Now here what they are asking? Find out the percentage of heterozygous. Now 0.48 into 100, we are getting 48%. That means out of 100 individuals, what is the number of heterozygous? That is 48. Now you observe the answer. The answer is the 48%. Now the next question. Sickle cell RBC in heterozygous condition is advantageous sometimes. Reason: heterozygous individuals exhibit resistance to malaria. Where we have to discuss this statement regarding the genetic load. Now here we are discussing the sickle cell anemia. Now here the person is A, another person is B. Okay. And now as we observe these two persons, this person has no disease. This person suffering from sickle cell anemia. Okay. Now in this person body, as we observe the RBC is biconcave and circular. This is hemoglobin, we know very well. Now this fellow suffering from sickle cell anemia and heterozygous. Okay. Now in his body, as we observe the RBC is sickle shape. RBC size is less, hemoglobin percentage is less. Now the plasmodium, it is a parasite. The plasmodium enters into the body of A. In his body, it completes pre-erythrocytic cycle, exoerythrocytic cycle, Golgi cycle. He gets the symptoms of malaria. Here also, the plasmodium enters into the body of this person. In his body, the plasmodium completes pre-erythrocytic cycle, exoerythrocytic cycle. But in his body, as we observe the RBC size is very, very less. So the plasmodium unable to enter into RBC and complete the Golgi cycle. So this person having resistance against the malaria, because in his body the RBC size is very, very small, because he has been suffering from heterozygous condition of sickle cell anemia. Now you observe the assertion and reason. Sickle cell RBC in heterozygous condition advantageous sometimes. Heterozygous individuals exhibit resistance to malaria. So the answer is both are correct or explain CA. The next question. Choose the correct statements. First statement. Number of new mutant alleles per given number of gametes is called mutation rate. Now, this is Inothera lamarckiana plant. Inothera lamarckiana plant. From this plant, we collected 100 gametes. Okay. Now, these gametes are planted. Out of 100 gametes, how many plants are mutants? How many plants are mutants? The answer is 4. How many gametes are taken? 100 gametes. And these gametes are planted in the soil. After completing the development, in how many plants we observe the mutations? The tall nature, the short nature, the short style, the smooth leaves. In how many plants we observed? 4. So based on that, we calculate the mutation rate. Now here, the number of new mutant alleles per given number of gametes is called mutation rate. Now, second, new alleles formed by mutations have negligible influence in the presence of natural selection. Once the mutants are selected by the nature, they are having the value. If the nature not select the mutants, they are not having any value. But here, new alleles formed by the mutations have negligible influence in the presence of natural selection. No, if they are selected by the nature, they are having the influence. Third, changes in the genotypic frequency without changes in the allelic frequency changes in the genotypic frequencies without changes in the allelic frequency is called gene reshuffling. Now you observe the cross. Now we go for the monohybrid cross. In the monohybrid cross, this one we call it as the round, and this one we call it as the wrinkled. Capital R, small r, small r. Now capital R gamete, small r gamete, capital R, small r, this is F1. Now two F1 plants are self-pollinated. In the F2 generation, we are getting 3:1 ratio. Okay, 3 round and 1 wrinkled. Now we go for the next cross. Another example for the monohybrid cross. Now yellow and green. Now we go for the another cross. Yellow and green. Capital Y, small y, small y. Here capital Y gamete, small y gamete. In the F1 generation, we are getting capital Y, small y. Now, in the F2 generation, we are getting 3:1. 3 yellow and 1 the green. Now, these two are taken as for dihybrid cross. In the dihybrid cross, we take the round yellow, wrinkled green. Now we are getting capital R, capital Y, small r, small y. F1 is capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. In the F2 generation, we are getting 9:3:3:1. The 9 round yellow, 1 wrinkled round yellow, and that means these are both recessive. These 6 are recombinants. That means as we observe this cross, there is no change in the allelic frequency, but the genotypic frequency is only changed. Now, changes in the genotypic frequencies without allelic frequencies is called gene reshuffling. Now the answer is first statement, third statement correct, second one is wrong, because the mutations selected by the nature having influence. If not selected by the nature, they are not having any influence. Now, August Wiesmann conducted decarnalization experiments on mice to disprove. As we observe the Lamarckism, what is the last one? All acquired characters inherited by their progeny. That is disproved by August Wiesmann by decarnalization experiments. It means the variations that occur in the germplasm can be inherited to the next generations. Any changes that occur in the somatoplasm will not be inherited. So, according to the Lamarck, all acquired characters inherited by their progeny is wrong. Only what type of variations can be inherited? The variations that occur in the germplasm are only inherited. Pangenesis theory. It was proposed by Darwin. According to the Darwin, in the body, each character controlled by one particle. That particle is said to be pangen. From one generation to another generation, all pangenses are inherited by their progeny. That process was wrong, disproved by August Weismann by conducting decarnalization experiments. So the answer is Lamarckism, pangenesis theory. In the Lamarckism, acquired characters inherited by their progeny. Next question. Primary product of evolution. What is the evolution? Evolution means continuous changes. It means the life is not static. Life continuously changes. As environment changes, the living organisms also change. As environment changes, the living organisms must be adapted to the changed environment. If we are not adapted to the environment, simply we are eliminated by the nature. Take for example summer season. Every day the temperature varies. As the temperature varies, we also adapt to the changed temperature. If not, simply we are perished or eliminated by the nature. Now, what is the primary product of evolution? Adaptation to the environment. The answer is now the next question. Darwin explained. As we observe the Darwin, according to the Darwin, in a race the changes are brought by what type of variations? Small fluctuating variations. What is meant by small fluctuating variations? In every generation, small variations occur. All these variations work collectively. So, after some time, in a race, permanent change is going to observe. Again repeating, according to Darwin, in a race, the permanent change is brought by what type of variations? Small fluctuating variations. What is meant by small fluctuating variations? In every generation, small changes going to occur, and all these changes work collectively. After some time, in a race, permanent change will be observed. That is small fluctuating variations. And he explained survival of the fittest, but not arrival of the fittest. He did not explain how the life originated, but he explained how the life can get success in the universe. Now, based on this information, the answer is small fluctuating variations and survival of the fittest. Students, in the next class, we are going to discuss the remaining bits.